Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. In somewhat better shape this morning than I was yesterday. However, we did have a Good Morning Portugal wine club last night, and very good it was too. Jerapiga, have you tried that? Let me know your thoughts about Jerapiga before I talk about this morning. Very nice convivial evening. The clocks had gone back. It was the first wine club we had this year with that autumnal nights are getting darker, colder feeling. So it was very nice to be trying Jerapiga seasonal and a cockle warmer. Good morning to you, Coach Turner. Still in Madeira. Sent some lovely pics of your food that you've been having just recently. I'll go through those. And you chanced upon, how is it you chanced upon great motoring events everywhere you go? We'll give everyone else a sense of that this morning as well. T-Duck is in. How you doing, T-Duck? Good to see you this morning. Thank you very much for the dad jokes. Top drawer. Yes, as well as heading south with some of those from the top drawer into the toilet humor, I think. Just you have been warned. You have been warned on a morning when I'm looking for the good news. If you, like me, have been looking for good news in the papers, and I know that can be a fool's errand, can't it? But if you found something that makes your life that little bit more joyful, inspiring, uplifting here in Portugal, send me a link and I'll share it on the screen. Best I can come up with this morning, as well as sharing with you a bit of Tony time, of course, at 9. And we'll look at what's going on up there in the north. Now the nights are getting colder and darker. Do they celebrate Magusto up there? We'll talk to Tony Barbosa, and hopefully get some nice property videos to look at as well, and look at the remarkable value on offer up there in the north of Portugal. And maybe, just maybe, this is down to me and my poor organisation. I've had a lot going on, as I'm sure a lot of you know. Hopefully, if not in the company of Bruce Hawker from the Portugal Resident, at least looking at his newspaper. And before I interrupted myself there, probably 2 or 3 times, whilst beginning to share with you Animal Corner, local communities embrace cat colonies. We'll be talking about cat colonies because I found one in Nazaré yesterday. And that's a pretty good news story, isn't it? It's bad news, I guess, on the one hand, that there are so many stray cats that need homes. We've done our bit just recently. 3 now housed here at Carl Munson. But there's certainly something's happening. Found a remarkable cat house, which is different to a dog house, very different to a dog house, isn't it? In Nazaré yesterday. I'm telling you more about that as a good news story. So anything else that's lifting you, is uplifting, inspiring in the news here in Portugal or even around the world, I guess we can look at more general news. Do send us the links for that, the good news and the bad news this morning, especially here in Portugal, attempting to focus on all that is good, uplifting and inspiring you from the news world, which of course you can just do by looking out of your window, can't you? I say in the banner there, we're scanning the papers. The first word I chose this morning was scour, until I looked it up. Scouring the papers for good news stories. Apparently, scour is a kind of cattle diarrhea, which I know some of you feel is more to the point or a better description of what goes on in the news media. But I changed the word scour to scan. T-Duck's in, Coach Turner's in, James, of course. I don't think James, in all the hurly-burly of the weekend, had time to change his long name of the week. Hey, Carl, did you know Slug and James are friends? That was last week's name as well, wasn't it? So good morning to you, 3 wise men of the Gunpocalypse. Who else is in this morning? I know there are others lurking and watching. They might be doing so because over at GMP VIP, I've just launched a new thing. And quite honestly, I don't know why I didn't do this earlier on. We have a new feature, a new collection over there at Learn About Portugal, gmpvip.com. And it's the Portugal Professional Network. Just post. I mean, it's very simple. It's like gumped in. It's a networking. Well, but it's part of our platform. It's the platform within the platform, which is the Portugal Professional Network. And so I made this rather snazzy slide for it last night. And already, I mean, I posted it late into the evening yesterday, and already people were sending me their CVs and contact details. So we're building a little gumped in over there at gmpvip.com, the Portugal Professional Network. I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, proudly present to you the repository of link trees, of CVs of people who would like to connect with you professionally. Not necessarily selling a service, although that would, of course, come into it. But this is a way of, if you're looking for somebody who you have the beginnings of trust with because they're from our community, you can find out. Well, let me give you an example. The first CV to go up there is our friend Francis, now in Porto, in the north of Portugal. And he works in the world of graphics and video and the visual arts and the digital arts. He's available for hire, as a lot of people who are still working, who are coming to Portugal are. So you can find Francis as our first CV entry, and his link tree is there at gmpvip.com. Go to the classroom and you'll find the beginnings of this new idea. And yeah, like I said, I don't know why I didn't think of this before. It's a great idea, even if I say so myself, and others are saying, yeah, I'll stick my CV in there. Portugal Professional Network, proud to declare that to the world and share it with you this morning, and looking forward to connecting people as a reliable source of professionals, and a good way of helping expats and foreigners who we know stay in business too. Okay, Bruce Hawker, I will make sure he gets the memo sooner next time. But Bruce cannot join us this morning from the Portugal Resident, but we will look at his esteemed paper, which, for full disclosure, I write for. I'm proud to be a writer, columnist, a weekly columnist of the Portugal Resident there, showcasing the things that come to my attention and that float my boat, that inspire and uplift me. And a good one coming up this week, I can tell you as well, with some great photos. And it's one of my expat Hall of Fame pieces, an extraordinary expat who's done incredible things for Portugal. And talking of which, in that department, let me just clear that frame off the screen to share with you some sad news that came to light that was announced publicly on our wine club yesterday. I'll just take the banner off for a moment. A dear friend of our community, somebody who I would like to think of as a friend and an inspiration, totally I'm talking about uplifting and inspiring. Chris Price was definitely that. Sadly passed away in the last few days. And he was an incredible winemaker. I think I've got a picture of Chris at a wine tasting that we did here in San Martinho de Porto. And he was an incredible guy. He really was. Came to Portugal, started growing organic wine, or started growing organic grapes and creating organic wine. Cortain. Have you seen Cortain? He's the man behind the Cortain, him and Helga behind the Cortain brand. There he is. And I was hanging out with him, trying a Chardonnay made here in Portugal that he recommended to me by Capuchos, who is a great fan of wines here, not just his own, but a great fan of Portuguese wines, of world wines, and keen to talk about them, and great company, great fun to be with. Always enjoyed bumping into Chris. And it was always going to be our intention to record more podcasts together to talk more about Portuguese wine. I'm sad that we won't have that opportunity now. However, I will do whatever I can to continue to promote Chris's contribution to winemaking here in Portugal, and the spirit of Chris Price and the twinkle in his eye. He was in his 80s, a remarkable man with an incredible life story, and very sad to have lost him in the last few days. And I will do what I can to make sure he is remembered for his contribution to Portuguese culture, his love of Portuguese culture, and his contribution to it. So very sorry to hear of the passing of Chris Price of Cortain Wines, and more recently of Wine Eccentrics. God bless you and rest in peace, Chris Price, and lots of love to Helga and to the family here on the Silver Coast. Okay, onward we go, and we can look at contributions from Madeira this morning. We're going to be talking about animal corners, specifically cats. I know further up the country, we're not managing to go there ourselves, sadly, this Saturday. The trip to Golgão was cancelled. But that is in progress at the moment, isn't it? Has anyone been yet? Started on the 3rd of November, going through until this coming Sunday. The Feira Nacional do Cavalo, the national, it's an international horse festival, let's face it, but it is Portugal's national horse festival in Golgão. I know some of you have been there in the past. Sadly, we didn't make it with Filomena this year. Weren't enough people to warrant the hiring of a bus from the Silver Coast, but we will be there. One of these years, we will be there. That's ongoing at the moment. So there we go. We've talked about horses. We will talk about cats too today. And let's have a look, see what's going on in the chat. Leela is here. Turn my back on the chat for a moment, and more people turn up. Leela is here, and Ocean Twiller Aviva, who are so delighted to meet over the weekend. Hola, bon dia. Back in Madeira, getting up late today. Don't blame you. Wow, what a schedule you've had, and you've sent me some beautiful photographs of your recent travels. Honestly, Aviva, it is like, I nearly called you Aveiro there. It's like, it's exhausting looking at your pictures to get a sense of the journey you've been on just recently. So I'll squeeze some of those in as well, if I can. Well, let me just do a first one to see if people can guess where you've been on your travels just recently. I'm in slightly better shape than I was yesterday, but you can hear my voice is still a bit gravelly and crackly after the excesses, the very delightful excesses, it has to be said, of recent times. Guess where Aviva went on her travels over here in Europe? There's a picture. And I had a Lego version of that. The Lego fair, I don't think I've talked to you about that. The Lego fair in Caldas de Rainha was amazing. I took the kids along, was thinking, yeah, I'll be okay. The kids will like it. I was blown over. It was really, really good. Stepped back in amazement several times, and there was a Lego rendition of this building. Where has Aviva been on her travels recently? Have you been there as well since being here in Europe? So enjoy your lie-in today. Hang out with us. Make it maybe a duvet day today. I hope you're feeling better and better rested. Aviva. Owen's in as well. Morning, mate. Not able to book from anywhere up here. Very frustrating. What are you talking about there? Oh, to Antonio. What's happening there? Oh, train strike. Oh, didn't hear about any train strike. There's I might have missed the memo from Owen myself here. Oh, yeah, here we go. Morning, all. Does anyone know if there's a rail strike this weekend? Trying to head south to visit Tita. Unable to get a train from Viana do Castelo to Lisboa. How about a coach as an alternative, Owen? I know it might take a little bit longer, but maybe not that much more. I know that when I went to Porto by coach, it was a good journey, a comfortable one with Wi-Fi and so on. That might be a good second best for you. Well, sorry, a little cough there that I nearly shared with you. Yeah, it might be your only option, perhaps, to get from the north to the south there. So good luck with that, mate. And yeah, these excellent dad jokes that have been shared by T-Duck, we'll have those towards the end of the show. Today, when we are scouring the scour is, as I said before, a kind of cattle diarrhea. And then we know that there's some of that going on in the mainstream media. Quite a lot of it, it would appear. I can smell it from here. But let's see if we can comb the distant horizon for good news, for uplifting and inspiring news. So let us know if you've got something worthy of inclusion later on after we've had a chat with Tony. Got a couple of 2-minute tasters. Let's make sure we've said hello to everyone this morning, and a couple of 2-minute tasters. One that we played last night. If you like your vehicles, Dougie's found them. He gravitates towards good food, good experiences, and lovely motor vehicles here in Portugal. He's got a knack for it, and we've got a couple of videos. He wasn't able to squeeze all of it in from Peira. Armação da Peira in the Algarve into 1 2-minute taster. What did he do? He made 2. So we'll come back to those after a God Squad tip of the day and a few more check-ins this morning. Bon dia todos from Coach Turner. A long walk managed yesterday, followed by yet another lovely meal. We'll have a look at that in just a moment. This was a set price, including wine. Oh, that's a good question. Is that a normal in Portugal or just a Madeiran thing? I think it might be a bit of a tourist thing, mightn't it? Or, the big buffets are all-inclusive. I was telling the story of the first time I met Bobby O'Reilly. We went to a great big all-you-can-eat buffet, and I was, I was trying to impress Bobby O'Reilly here in Caldas de Rainha. It was his suggestion. His family liked this buffet place, and we do too. Now we had a great evening hanging out together, and I said to him, "Bobby, let me get the drinks." So I went over, and I hadn't told him this bit of information until we were hanging out this weekend in in San Martino de Porto. I said, "Yeah, let me get the drinks, Bobby." And I disappeared to go and find a member of staff. I said, "That table over there with all of us on it, I'd like to pay for the drinks." And the waiting staff said to me, "Oh, it's all included in your 15 euros." It was every kind of conceivable Portuguese food, buffet style. There was a band, people were dancing. It was fantastic. I had a great night. This is all included at 15 euros. So, of course, what did I do? I went back to Bobby and said, "I've taken care of it, Bobby. You don't need to worry about that." Apparently, the only booze you paid for was the top shelf. And we had plenty of beer and wine and had a good evening, all included for 15 euros. So it's definitely a Portuguese thing, but I guess you've got to choose the right venue for that. God Squad tip of the day from the T-Duck. Squats yesterday, step-ups today. The advantage with these is they obviously rely on one leg at a time, so help balance as well as strengthen. And talking of squatting, thanks Johnny Cocktail for sharing chondroitin and glucosamine with me, which should stop my knees being quite so crunchy and audible. I've had a good solution for noisy knees, just to get some headphones and listen to music while you're exercising. I know that's probably not the best thing. I'm hoping that the chondroitin and glucosamine will do something in that department. He swears by it. How was yesterday evening for anyone who was with Anna at the extended Discovery weekend in here in San Martino de Porto? Who was at Anna Belgia's immersion experience at Biocultural? How did it go? I'm sure it was a great evening. The advantage then with the squats is that they obviously rely on one leg at a time, so help balance as well as strength. Find a step, says Coach Turner, that allows the thigh to be approximately horizontal. Step up and down with alternate legs about 10 times each side. Turn over and then grill the other side after a good marinating overnight. Sounds like a recipe, doesn't it? Step up and down with alternate legs about 10 times each side. Try to do that 3 to 4 times a day. There you go. You will notice the difference, says Coach Turner. Excellent. Thank you for that. And for supplying us with God Squad tips of the day whilst being on holiday. We'll have a look at your food in a moment. Good morning, Coach, says T-Duck around that same sort of time. Did you hear about the new gym that comes to your door unannounced? It's called Jehovah's Fitness. Ouch! But very, very good. Morning, T-Duck. You got a morning, T-Duck. And the 3 Laughing Faces award this morning goes to T-Duck's Jehovah's Fitness gag this morning. Bon dia a todos. Feliz terça. Como vas? Gorgeous. How are things? Says James. Let's show, before we move on and forget, let's show the food that was eaten yesterday. I forgot to show this yesterday. You mentioned it. We mentioned it, didn't we? Now, what did you have with the, I think there's a pork dish there in Madeira, looking very brown and autumnal. Is that some orange there, some Madeiran orange to go with the pork there? That was the day before yesterday, and yesterday's offering with wine included. That's a beautiful looking plate, isn't it? With a nice little corn cob there. That's a little lamb rack, isn't it? Right there. Beautiful rack, if you don't mind me saying. There, and look at that. What's the blue there in that lovely flourish of puree on the plate there? And what is that one? What are we looking at there? I'm sure it's a rack of lamb, the first one. Let me see what we had. Coach Turner saying, yeah, duck breast. Yes, of course. If you had to guess that, that would be a duck breast, wouldn't it? With wild mushrooms. Risotto there, a wild mushroom risotto with duck breast, followed by, you had both of those, a rack of lamb, just as well I managed, 18,000 steps. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Thank you very much for those, Coach Turner. Rack of lamb and a duck breast there. And you also, I didn't manage to show this yesterday, but you chanced upon, as I said, a great motoring event. We'll have more of that sort of thing from Dougie and his empty plate award as well for a nice meal. He had a bitok in the Algarve yesterday. Let's have a look at Coach Turner's brief bit of rallying on the streets of Madeira yesterday. What's this? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Too fast for me. What was that? Keen-eyed motoring rallying enthusiasts will recognize this. Here it is again. Arguably, that is how a car should sound, isn't it? Is that a V6 or V8 sound that we're hearing there? Maybe not. Maybe it's a 4-cylinder flawed pedal to the metal there, and a lovely roaring sound, which you don't get with electric vehicles, do you? Oh, and we've got olive picking from Jerry from Expats Portugal from his back garden. He's picking and pressing a lovely little couple of minutes of video from Jerry's farm. A little bit later on in the show as well. So food and booze and motoring well represented. Thank you very much. I didn't recognize that vehicle, but it sounded good to me. You're not going to get that with an electric car rally, are you? And talking of great booze, something I've been wishing to show for a long time, and I don't think I got round to this. And each time I think about showing it, I'm thinking all I talk about, it seems, on the Good Morning Portugal show at the moment is alcohol. Drink responsibly, if you will. You're grown up, do what you want. But I mean, obviously, we need to. It's good to issue that kind of warning in case you do need it. We've got the Quinta Essencial. Now, is this a cidre? I can't see, but I know what I do know is that this is a limited bottling of some beautiful produce from Jason at Quinta Essencial. And when it's gone, it's gone. That's the beauty of, well, I guess it's the good news and the bad news, isn't it? The bad news is that at some point it will be gone. The great news is that he is producing beautiful products of this kind, one-offs, unique contributions to the world of food and wine. And there's one of them. I think that was a cider. It's got his address on the front, it looks like, rather than telling us what it is. I think that's a bottle of cider from the Quinta Essencial itself there. But point being made here is that get over there to central Portugal, to Quinta Essencial, and buy it up before it's all gone. And being slow to share that with everybody, I realized that it might already be gone. So sorry if that's the case. But if you do go there, you won't be disappointed. There'll be lots of lovely things to eat and drink that you can buy from Jason and Oriel over there. Sorry it took so long to bring that to your attention. And yeah, sorry, Jason. We'll see you soon, though, mate. I hope. Let's see who else is here. We've got a bit of Tony time waiting in the wings. A delightful property to share with us today. We've got a new 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom character home with a view of the Tagus. So although he represents the north and he's our man in the Minho, he's got a nice one in the south, further south in the capital, or around the capital. He's also got one in Portimao. It gets about, and so great property from his network to be sharing today. And I am rapidly sharing those videos so we can have a look through them and share them with you later on today. Those were peach slices with the pork that you saw earlier on. And Doug, who's 2-minute tasters. I better get on with that because we've got Tony here and waiting for us, waiting to speak to us. We had one of those all-included dinners, including booze in Villarreal de Sant Antonio a few years back. 15 euros. Excellent food and very good wine too, as you might expect. Here in Portugal. Let me just make sure I've covered all the comments. Brian Taylor's here. How are you, mate? Good to see you here this morning. And yeah, we need help for Owen. Do we know if there's a train strike this weekend here in Portugal? And where are you on the island? Asked Coach Turner of Aviva, who's back there. It's our last day here, sadly, but we'll be walking into town later. How about that? A few miles outside Funchal. That might be another Gumper meeting. I could arrange to come into Funchal later if you'll be here this afternoon. How lovely. Gumpers meeting Gumpers. And yeah, those arrangements and mention of Lido's continuing. The Pestana Villa Lido, previously the Palms Hotel. Oh, there you go. There's a lovely view of the sail training schooner this morning in Madeira. Sounds beautiful. Got to get over there at some point. 5 hours, no toilet. Actually, that's not true, Owen. The coach stops. The key to relieving oneself on a coach is not to do it on the coach, but they have comfort stops at major terminuses or interchanges where you can get off. Don't do what I did, which is get back on the wrong coach and look across to the coach next to you and say, oh, those people look like the people who are on my coach just now. What? That is the people who are on my coach just now. Better run off this one and get on that one. So they do stop. That can be done. And the staff are ready for you, waving you into the restroom, as we call it in America. Flixbus from Porto to Lisboa only takes about 20 minutes longer than the train. So there you go, James. Thank you. That could work well. Not the coach, but the meetup of the Gumpers. Let's have a look then at a 2-minute taster, and we will come back to coach travel, train travel, and Buddy's here from Iceland this morning. Hola, bon dia, alegria from Iceland. Way! Hello, Buddy. Good to see you. And just to solve that mystery of that beautiful motor car, an Alfa Romeo GT Junior was that vehicle. So let's have a look at Dougie's 2-minute taster before we have a bit of Tony time this morning. Got to get these in the right order. I'll do my best to. Here's the first.
Good morning, Portugal, and it's a jolly fine morning right here in the Algarve. Time for one of our 2-minute tasters.
Good morning, Portugal. And as you can see today, I'm in Amarsal de Pera. And today is the first Sunday of the month, so that means Clásicos. Here's the Swedish contingent, a Volvo Amazon, and just the other side of it, a PV. Here's a lovely Mercedes pillarless coupe, another car that seems to survive in Portugal, but they've all but gone from the UK. This was a Vauxhall Nova when they were sold in the UK, and I can't even remember what they were called here, an Opel. I'll have to look on the back end and check. Actually, it's a Vauxhall Corsa. Sorry, an Opel Corsa. I'll get it right eventually. Nice though. Like I say, if you in the UK, they've all but vanished. You hardly ever see these, especially the booted ones, the saloons. Whereas here in Portugal, they're not that rare. There's a few knocking around. Here's a selection of Mercedes-Benz cars, and this one's a 190. The first really of the baby Benz. These were the small Mercedes-Benz that they brought out. A sort of a Mercedes for the masses. This is an E-Class, and these were, this particular model was said to be carved out of solid steel, a sort of a last of the really well-built Mercedes cars. This is the Bentley version of the Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud, in absolutely gorgeous condition, it really is. Oh damn it, my 2 minutes are up. So what I'll do is I'll make a part 2, a para part 2. So I'll see you soon. Ciao for now.
Good morning, Portugal, and it's a jolly fine morning right here in the Algarve. Time for one of our 2-minute tasters.
Here you are, a brace of Renault 4s. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, these were actually built right here in Portugal. And two rather nice examples. In the UK, of course, and Northern Europe, they didn't last 5 minutes because they were quite rust prone. But here, different story. You see quite a lot of nice ones, serviceable ones around. Quite an interesting Vauxhall Viva, this. Now, these cars you don't see very many of in damp climates, these Datsuns. Quite a few knocking around Portugal, I must say. I mean, they don't suffer from tin worm infestation in quite the same way, because in wetter climates they sort of rusted for fun. A little Austin Mini, and it's in the right colour too. Very pretty little thing with a wavy grille there. And here's a bright yellow square nose, a Mini Clubman. Beautiful colour, I just love it. And very interestingly, this is actually a Morris Clubman. Most were Austin. There you go, a car made in Wales by Mr. Morgan. Beautiful little thing, this.
Excellent, Doug, use of my friend's music there. House Tonic, how did you get that? That was superb. Brilliant bit of music on the end of your wonderful car videos there. There are some beauties there, and I'm sure a few gumpers at home saying to themselves, I had one of those. I had one of those. Amazing. Oh, I love that car. Never seen a 3-volume Corsa before, says Antonio F. It's almost as if you're at the car park. Yeah, Pete. Bit of a nightmare for you, surrounded by all that petrol there. What's that smell? You haven't smelled that for a few months, have you, Pete? Or a few years, possibly, for you, Peter. Good morning to you. Yeah, like being at a car park. Nice collection of motors. Nice collection of classics there. Morning, Squire. Squire of the Shires in also this morning, as is Antonio Barbosa of Infinite Solutions. Let's give him a massive round of applause. And bring him onto the screen. Hola, bon dia, Tony. How are you?
Bon dia, Carl. Hi, everyone.
Great to see you. Great to see you. How's it going up there? The clocks have gone back, Tony. It must be feeling a little bit chillier and cooler and darker up there of an evening in our man in the Minho. What's going on?
Yeah, it's a little bit chillier, nippier in the morning, that's for sure. The rain, but we have San Martino right around the corner and lots of juripiga to keep us warm, that's for sure. And pedagua and roasted chestnuts.
Yes, I want to ask you exactly about that. That's the way to keep warm in the winter here, or the autumn here in Portugal. This Magosto, collectively referred to as Magosto, the time of those types of alcohol, the first pressings, mixing things with aguardente whilst you're roasting your chestnuts, so to speak. Tell us a bit more about how that's going to be. You say it's around the corner, so it hasn't started yet?
No, it's November 11th.
Okay, all starting this weekend. Very good. Tell us more.
San Martino.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought it was the first week. And it also refers to the Verão de San Martino, doesn't it? So the festivities starting this weekend. Please tell us more about it.
Well, it's traditional where the wine, everybody has it. It goes now from the setting stage, and you have what's called the first pedagua. That's generally what people do it. Not with juripiga. Juripiga has become, it's like the sweeter, little liqueur to go with the roasted chestnuts. But it's traditionally when the wine is bottled. Okay.
Yes.
And so that's where the festivities people start. Believe me, it has to do, this is a ancient way of doing things, and has to do with the moon, and the same way when you pick the grapes and the harvest season and all this. Our ancestors definitely knew when to do it and how to do it, and so there is a logic to that. So it's around that time, and it
Makes
always
sense.
happens.
Yeah. Like you gotta love something that's in tune with the moon, haven't you? And in tune with nature. That's wonderful. So I've had a pronunciation note. Magusto. I beg your pardon. I'm saying magosto, which probably means something else. Magusto. So yeah, roasted chestnuts. It's the time. This Verão de San Martino. I don't think that's going to be happening this year. Do you, Tony?
For sure. This is, we're in the winter time, and this is what we need, especially in the Minho, when everybody loves to see the green, and there's a reason for that. It rains, there's no miracles, right? It just, you don't work the magic and it turns green and luscious green. There's got to be rain, and it is needed. I mean, and all over Portugal. I mean, not only here, but like we when we run out of water, then we have wine, then we have juripiga, and we have lots of aqua, because there's no shortage of water here. But there's other parts of Portugal, even like in the Algarve and Alentejo, they suffer with it, and it's not our issue here for the most part. But there will be sunny days ahead. There always is. Portugal is sunny, so I mean, you can expect 90 days or so here in the Minho in the north, a year, 90 days of rain. In between, sometimes it could just be 3 weeks straight or 2-3 weeks straight. If you remember last year was the same thing. Remember the month of November, December, just like rained and rained. But then came January and February, had like 16-degree weather, mid 60s, early or mid 60 degree weather. And for people I was walking in, you go walking around in the park during the day. Of course, at night it's nippy, but rain, it is a part of it. It is what it is, Carl.
Yeah, sure. And no problem. And the promise of possibly of one of these San Martino summers as well that comes at this festival time that you've spoken of there. Last night, we tried the juripiga. I've not really availed myself until last night, and we tasted it on the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club last night. It was Linda's suggestion, and it's the grape must. Nothing's wasted here in Portugal, is it, Tony? So the grape must is mixed with aguardente. And you end up with something that's quite like a sherry. It's a really nice drink, and it should be there in the Portuguese drinks cabinet, I think, alongside the aguardente, alongside the berão and the ginger. It's a Portuguese classic for sure. Do you like it yourself?
Yeah, I remember as I probably liked it better when I was a kid and I couldn't, or younger.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. A little sip.
But yeah, but I remember like my mom and dad, they used to always go to the local, take the end of the grapes. My father was a winemaker, right? So after he's done, he'd go to the guy to make the aguardente or the jurupiga, or they would come there and give it there, and then he trade it off for a couple of bottles, and and it was pretty delicious actually. I mean, it's something very traditional here in the Minho for sure, and I think throughout the Minho in the north,
Yeah.
the where the wine, I'm not sure, maybe you have Madronho in the south and other parts, but Jurupiga definitely here is something. It's like you said, like a sherry. It's a sweeter side, a
Yeah.
sherry like a Porto, not a Porto, like a Favaios wine.
Ah, for Vayash, another mention of something else to be tried here. That's wonderful. Thank you, Tony. Great to see you this morning. Filomena's in as well. Hola, bon dia todos. And I think it's certainly Filomena will be going along to Gulgal. And Pete, looking forward to Gulgal Friday and Saturday, and ideally St. Martin's summer, and meeting up with Filomena. Good morning to you, Filomena. It's a shame our trip didn't work out from the Silver Coast, but maybe next year we'll do that, because part of it was going to Almoral Castle and getting a boat out to the castle in the middle of the river, which I would have loved to have done. Hopefully we'll do that another time. You've been busy, haven't you, Tony, in the last few weeks? What have you been up to?
Just believe it or not, had a lot. The last month of October was characterized mainly by lots of professional colleagues visiting Portugal, clients as well, getting to know the Minho for sure. I've been a big, me, always putting Minho on the map, because people don't know what they don't know. They know Lisbon, which is beautiful, no, the Algarve, even Porto, but getting them up here to Viana do Castelo and the Minho is something that I've been trying to get in. And once they get here, they says, "Wow, this is nothing like Portugal. It's very different from the rest of Portugal. Less crowds, the weather. They don't feel." We had some beautiful days in October, right, when it was nice and sunny, and great times. So that was characterized by then just closing deals, helping a lot of Americans moving here, and just keep having fun. Living la vida loca, trying to keep busy. But October was a very, very busy month for sure.
Yeah, excellent. You got a couple of lovely properties to share with us. For those who are watching far afield, Tony, this is for real estate professionals coming over and learning more about Portugal. Can anyone? Let's say someone's watching this in the United States later on today, and they want to come and learn more about the Minho. They just get in touch with you. They could join your trade mission, can they?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
We've opened it up now to. Before we just had it for strictly for realtors, and
Yeah.
they bring a wife or spouse, etc., girlfriend, friend. But also now we've opened it up to clients because they also, which a lot of times the realtors themselves, they're looking to move here anyway. So that's why the whole premise is discovering. It really is a cultural immersion. Okay, getting to
Yes.
know the people, the gastronomy, the culture, the wines, the definitely wine tastings. Real estate is we don't really go too deep into real estate. We go more deeper into how to buy the property, having the right the tools, having the right people around you, the lawyer, the loan broker, etc., the movers. The process. What is the buying process? What is the moving process? Going from A to Z. That's what we try for them to know when they are ready, and getting to know the area. Because I think what's most important, people think that Portugal is so small, but it's really not. I mean, I think it's bigger and bigger. There's a lot of room here, and it's very different, and the Minho is not for somebody that loves the warm temperature all year round. And this is not the place, but there's a lot of people that are discovering, and especially we've been getting, and a lot of, when it comes to the real estate end of it, the best appreciation values right now, is in terms of what you're buying and what you're getting and return on investments. They're a lot higher than other parts of Portugal. That I can guarantee you. Why? Because the same
Okay.
amount that you pay for a property in Lisbon or the Algarve, which you pay about 2 or 3 times as much, you're going to get the same return here. Renting it out
Yeah.
by the week, you're going to get it the same. And even the appreciation values when somebody's, and so when we try to explain that not only to the realtors, because they themselves are trying to set up an international global real estate business, and we're meeting them, introducing them to developers. They're getting paid directly by the developers. So this is part of our job, to work with those realtors to get them started in the real estate industry in Portugal, having us here as a background and always as support. But it's always about the cultural. I always say, why here? Why Portugal to begin with, right? So you've made the decision, Portugal. Then you got to go deep dive into the regions, and we keep it to the Minho for now. We do all over Portugal, and we can plan for other. If you're coming out to Portugal for a week, or come out for 2 or 3 weeks, and you can explore the rest of Portugal, and we could set up a plan, an itinerary for the rest of the time. But we deep dive into the immersion. If you try to do this on your own, renting a car, having it all planned out, you don't have anything to do. Just get here. You don't have to worry about where you're going to eat, and you're going to eat the best, whether the seafood in Galicia, in Spain, or here in Portugal, or in the Minho. And, the Minho has one of the best gastronomy. So that's what people want to get to know, the culture, the people, everything around it. This should be a reason. And anybody can join us, Carl. Thank you for bringing it up. But it is open.
How many do you do a year?
We only have the capability to do one a year now. We do it in May. We already have the dates. It's May 30th through June 6th. It really is, and it's something that we've already have. We limited to 20 spots, all the time. We already have 18 pre-reservations, and we don't even have the full itinerary or the values or anything. We already have 18 friends who want to join us. So I mean, it's something that people start looking at us like already in October, November. Hey, when are you planning? When is it going to be the dates in May? Because it's always at the last week of May, first week of June, or the first couple of days, because before the big holidays, and when you have where it's more expensive in hotels, less crowds, right? So that's the best time to come to Portugal, like April, May, before June, or come in September, October. We used to do it in October in the past, but now it's just we don't have the time. We really don't have the time.
And I can imagine, Tony, that the way it's pitched and presented, you've got real estate agents coming over, and it's a good string to their bow to be able to recommend to their clients. But I imagine, like you say, a lot of them fall in love themselves with the place and think, hold on a minute, I'm going to move in myself. Never mind about my clients. I'm coming here, and I'm sure that's happening.
Yeah, of course. It's them. They want to get to know the area for themselves first. And then, it's before they try, and they're thinking of moving here. I mean, we're working. We actually just helped. We helped one. I'll try to bring him on. Actually, you know what? Here's a realtor. In South Florida, in the Keys, in the Florida Keys. His name is Al Barboza. No relation to me. But we just helped him. He's a realtor with Coldwell Banker. Out in Florida, and guess what? We helped him move to Setúbal. So we help people move all over Portugal. It's not just the Minho. Minho's where, this is where I live, and my home, and where I love it, and my heart is. As they say, find your home, find your heart. Your home is where your heart is, and that's where mine is. But we help people, and we help them move here. And so we get professionals now, they themselves moving here and building our team. If you can't, I always say brands don't recruit, they attract. And we've been attracting a lot of talent.
I bet you have.
And because it's the way we do business, and they know that there is a difference of doing real estate, and so they want to work. And they says, "Hey, I know a great broker here in Portugal." And they said, "Really?" Says, "Yeah, come work with us." And doesn't matter. I mean, real estate is a people business. Has little to do with homes. It's people and relationships. And you have to. I always say, I don't need agents in our team. We need ambassadors. So if we have ambassadors, then you could be a part of our team. And
some good friends, no doubt too. That's wonderful news. Excellent. So there's only a couple of spaces left by the sound of it for next May. Great work, Tony. Sounds good. And as you say, you're connected all over the country, and we'll be taking a look at an Algarve and a Lisbon property from your network this morning. Before we go there, I was looking for some good news, from the news sources, the news sources that we usually look at, the English-speaking ones, namely Portugal News and Portugal Resident. Look at this. Something happening up here in Ponte Lima. 37 families. This is good news because people are very cynical about the housing crisis here, understandably. However, it would appear to be some good news just published on the Portugal News. 37 families from Ponte Lima will have their homes renovated by the end of the year in an investment of 2.1 million euros. The president of the chamber said today, who I'm sure you know. Speaking to the Lusa agency, Vasco Farage said that in addition to the renovation of 37 houses, applications are underway for the renovation of more than 106 houses whose households were contacted by the municipality to join the program and eradicate poor housing in the municipality of Ponte Lima in the district of Viana do Castelo. That's good news for the region, isn't it? Is there a lot of that going on elsewhere as well up there in the north, Tony?
Yes, of course. That has to do. It's a campaign for homes, people that are living below certain conditions. Okay, so the government, or especially the council of Ponte de Lima, helps out. And every single council. I mean, again, Portugal is a social country. If you are living in the street, there's a reason for that. If you have subpar conditions in your home, then you definitely reach out, because there are government. Because this comes from the government itself. With even the new package of Mais Habitação that came, where people that are living below conditions can ask for help, and the social services go inspect the house, look at your income, what you have, etc. And they're gonna make it better. Ponte de Lima is just one of them. Ponte de Lima is a great council here. It's really there. It is what it is for being there. But it really is definitely one of the councils, especially even like paying lower taxes. I think they're probably the council here in the north that pays the lowest taxes. So they're able to attract a lot of younger people, so definitely.
Another great reason to consider the district and the town of Ponte Lima there. Good news from Ponte Lima. That's good. That's on the screen now if you want to check it out. Okay, we are welcoming William back to the screen, back to the community. Bon dia, Carl. See you before Christmas. I'm looking forward to that. Great goodie bag last time, William. I hope you're both well and just about sorted here now. Lots changed in the world, William, since we last spoke. I remember seeing you on San Martino seafront. Great to see you. Looking forward to seeing you again. And a new friend, a new name here. And I thought this was maybe a joke name at first, one of those names that's a little bit of a rude word play that sometimes catches me out. But no, I think a genuine new gumper here on the screen. Pickle Praggins is here. Is that because you play pickleball? What's the origin of your name, Pickle Praggins? Bon dia from a new Braga resident, originally from New Orleans. How about that? So New Orleans and now in Braga, another great place, of course, in the north of Portugal. You're very welcome here, Pickle. Tell us more about yourself, if you will. And yeah, like I said before, if you're continuing to work, you, Pickle, or anyone wants to work and network here in Portugal, at gmpvip.com, we have a repository of link trees and CVs where you can network yourself. A little bit of a gump tin, if you like, for those continuing to work here in Portugal and wanting to make new connections here. Let's have a look at the first of your properties then this morning, Tony.
Carlos, Carl, I'm going to teach you how to say New Orleans the right way. It's Narlands.
Narlands. Okay. Thank you very much. Narlands. Now I've eaten a boil for the first time here in San Martino. I should be saying the name of the place right as well, shouldn't I?
Narlands. We abbreviate there. It's a beautiful place. New Orleans, but Narlands. I remember when I used to live in that part. I lived in Houston for a while, and it was only a 5-hour drive from there. And not only through the carnival time, right, in February, but also in May, you have the jazz festival. Oh, it's fantastic. It's a great city to visit in the U.S. for sure. It has that European flavor, especially with the French, the Creole, etc. Totally different from what you see in the rest of the food.
I tried the food for the first time. Shout out to Bev and Dan who were serving up some amazing American food here. Food that's found in America, obviously, as you say, inspired and influenced from other parts of the world. So Netherlands, did I say it in a really British way? New Orleans. I'm sorry about that. Okay. I'm sorry to you, Pickle, for messing up the name of your origin there. Where are we?
He got it right. He got it right. It's New Orleans, when you're down from the south, it's Narlands. You got
Narlands. Excellent. Where are we going now then? This isn't Narlands, is it? Is this the Algarve or the capital property we're looking at here?
No, this is in the Algarve in Portimão. It's a beautiful 3-bedroom apartment. It's been renovated, 2 baths, lots of it's great centrally located, central of the city. So definitely, and it's great areas too.
All right, let's roll VT on this then. I think, but the way I've set it up, I think you can talk over it as well, so we can hear each other as we have a look at this. I'm not
Sure,
sure
yeah.
if you've got a voiceover on it.
No, there's no voice on this one. I didn't
Oh,
put it.
okay,
But
so you can talk over it for us. That's great.
yeah, entry hallway leads into the foyer, right? You always need a nice space when you walk in. You can see around. And that's the hallways to the bedrooms.
What's a
This
nice
is-
fresh refurb? I'm loving that spice rack.
Yeah, yeah.
Very nice. Nice
Refurbished.
kitchen.
It's all been finished, nicely finished off. This head leads off into the kitchen. Kitchen also has a space there for the separate laundry area, etc. Way.
Very
Kept the
nice.
features like these are the tiles that you see original, right? So some features were kept, of course.
Yeah, very nice.
The house is completely brand new.
Like it a lot. Where are we in Portimao?
You're about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes walking to Praia da Rocha, so real close. And this is right smack in the middle, Rua Direita, which then if you want to catch some buses that go to Alvor, for example, or even on the other side, definitely to Ferragudo. Your area beaches are like 20 minutes, and Alvor has some beautiful beaches there right next to Portimão.
Like it. Very nice and light.
Not too far from the marina, you're close to the marina as well, Portimão, near the bridge that connects over to Ferragudo. Rua Direita is a very just known. It's actually Rua d'Alvor, Rua Direita, and so definitely some of the wood that you could see that was also left over, right? So we're here going into the bedrooms now.
There's the listing that's on the screen now. It's really nice, nicely done.
Yeah, the full rehab on the place.
Great great floors, loving those honey-colored parquet flooring.
Well, those are the original, so they
look original, don't they? And you've got that's a sun trap as well out there, isn't it? Just outside the terrace, yeah. Very nice. And we are looking at this is for sale, isn't it? It's not a rental. This is for sale. Sweet. Okay. And part of your extended network, you can see the listing as I've put on there at infinite-solutions.pt. The full listing is over there as posted on the screen just now. What's the asking price for this then, Tony?
239,500 euros.
Okay. Oh, look at those tiles. They're great, aren't they?
So you have three bedrooms. One of them is an ensuite.
Yeah.
Or with built-in wardrobes. You could see you have a lot of space there, right? Storage. This is an office. One of the bedrooms is an office.
Very nice. Yeah, like this a lot.
Balcony.
Yeah.
As well.
And that could be very easily turned back into a bedroom there, couldn't it? So this could be an Airbnb as well, couldn't it? If you didn't want to live in it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. There, because renting it out there, it's in a prime central location. You don't get any more central. Walking distance to the beach, buses and services right at your doorstep. Even the train station at Portimão is just a short minute walk. Of course, all the services. So it's about day-to-day living if you want, but also somebody that does want to rent it out. It'd be a great opportunity because you are centrally located. And you're a little bit away from that confusion of Praia da Rocha, but if you want to walk there or go to the beach, hey, it's right down the road.
Right. Now, I'm hoping I'm sharing or finding another video file of yours here. This could be a 2-minute taste. I've had so many videos sent to me. Does that look familiar, the second of our properties that we're looking at? We'll play it anyway and see what happens here. Because it looks like a nice part of Portugal anyway.
This is property near you just mentioned earlier before, the Castelo do Almoral, Constância. It's a short distance, literally 2 minutes away. 2 minutes. When I say by car, 5 minutes by car, whatever. It's real close to Constância and Castelo do Almoral. in the
Yes.
Ribatejo area.
Ah, okay. All right, my mistake. I'm thinking we're in the capital here, but we're
No,
in
no, no.
another part. Okay, all right, all right. I'll
The
put the
beautiful
listings.
part of Portugal, the central part, it's by the
Yeah.
river, so you have a beautiful
Yes.
river view, and it's been completely renovated as well, a 3 bedroom, a 2 bath house, okay, with the
Yes.
nice terrace,
Yeah.
um, and
Well, what I'm gonna do with this, Tony, I'm not seeing anything change on the screen. I'm seeing this external shot, but what I have got is we can go to the listing itself, which is this is
oh yeah,
the
sure. Show some pictures. You have some pictures there too that are
I
pretty good.
do. I'll do that. I'll put that on the screen, which might be a bit better. This is really nicely done as well. But I mean, this is
Yeah,
this is
this
what
is the perfect home for somebody that wants to do an Airbnb. This house is already licensed for Airbnb. It's brand
uh,
new. It was just renovated. Or I always say that when you submit renovations of homes, submit it with the Airbnb license, the alojamento local. Okay, submit
okay.
it. You never
Yeah.
know. It's always something that it doesn't cost that much more to get it, and you
Yeah.
do it all, and it's completely brand new, and you have a beautiful terrace sitting there with the
That's
view
great. Yeah.
the view. You're right on the river, basically. I mean, you could see the
Okay.
different here on the houses there. Nice, and but again, the location being Constancia is one of those small little villages that if I'm not sure if you've ever been there, Carl.
I have. I was
Once you walk,
blown away. Tony, I was blown away by Constancia. It is a
it's a
wonderful place.
beautiful little
Yeah.
village, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
it
It
thinks of
is.
like Romeo and Juliet.
And yeah, it's got the drama of different elevations and the river beach.
Yeah,
And I think there's something going on there. It is a well-loved tourist destination, isn't it? You get a lot of foreign visitors for some reason who know it. And there we
mhm.
go. That's the little road. Is that so? It's right on the river there.
Right on the river. There's a between the house.
Very.
There's a square. There's a
Yeah.
square. You can see this is from the balcony, right?
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
square there, and in the square, then you have the marina. There's a coffee shop there, right
There
in
is.
front
Yeah.
of the
I've
house.
been there, and I've walked past this property in the past. So there you go.
Arripiado is the name of the village. Okay, Arripiado belongs to the town or the council of Chamusca. Carregueira is the village, actually. This is Arripiado, is just a small little part of the village, but it belongs to Chamusca, which is Santarém. And again, it's characterized there. River beaches, the whole the whole atmosphere of again people. Airbnb would be a great way.
Wouldn't it
And this,
just? Wouldn't it? Yeah.
yeah,
This is great. And look, we're looking at 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, character home with a view of the Tagus River. That's what threw me. I thought we were looking at the Tagus further towards the capital. But the value here is extraordinary, Tony. On the market for
100, and if you scroll down, it's 167. Scroll down,
I think I saw 165. That's incredible
Oh,
value, isn't it?
165. Yeah, one
Yeah,
six. Scroll down. Sometimes this was just recently listed, and
there we go.
sometimes it's
Yeah.
one
And
one.
close to the castle of Almoral, which I mentioned earlier on. Incredible.
What is that value? Is it say there? I can't see it on
Yeah,
the screen there.
165.
That's
165.
it.
Yeah.
165. Yeah, it's a great value. That's like buying instead of buying it because it's not an apartment; it's a house. Okay, it is a
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
It's in a cluster of other little houses there, but you have all the privacy and just having that balcony with the barbecue overlooking the river. Lots of opportunity. Somebody uses it temporarily when they come
Okay.
visit Portugal, central Portugal. You're about an hour and 20 minutes from Lisbon.
Yeah. And
About
I
an
would
hour.
say, Tony, talking about Constancia and that part of the country, excuse me, still haven't got my voice back from the weekend. But that area I think is going to appreciate Constancia. How is it that so many foreigners know about Constancia and it's such a big tourist destination? Is it something else about the area that has been attracting them for decades?
Well, it is. I mean, that area part is considered probably like, especially if the equestrian world, it's Golgá. Okay,
Yeah.
Golgá is the equestrian world or capital of Portugal, Santarém, in that region, right? So
Mm.
definitely, and it's because of all the small little river beaches that it has. So people they love nature, and it's the Tagus River. So you have Almoral, you have so many exactly, yeah, the Caballo, yeah. And so there's a lot of attractions there for a tourism market, right? And that's
Yeah.
probably why a lot of people know that area. Probably if you ask a lot of Portuguese people, they don't know Constancia. Never heard of it. But
Yeah.
there's small little gems. I mean, that's what I love discovering. Sometimes small little villages that have in Portugal, whether you go to Trás-os-Montes, whether you go to the Algarve, there's hidden gems. Constancia definitely is a hidden gem, and that whole area around there. Abrantes, for example. Abrantes is a nice Torres Novas as well. Not to be confused with Torres Vedras, which is on the coast, but Torres Novas, Abrantes, that whole area of central Portugal is very attractive because there's a river, Zizere, okay, the Rio Zizere. That whole
Yes.
area there is just remarkable, and there's a certain allure because it's you're off the beat path. People that don't want to be in a beach, okay, per se, with a lot of tourists and stuff, So that's why it's still very alluring and attractive. It's not overly crowded, and that's for sure.
Love that. Really good listing. Superb stuff in
And
Constancia
the way
there.
you see it there, it is. That's how it's going to be kept. I'm sure with the furniture too. We can negotiate that. We can negotiate.
As you say in your industry, beautifully presented. Absolutely. And smash that like button, says T Duck. Aviva's got to go. Probably got to go and meet Coach Turner. I'm sure you have to go and do some work. And if not work, then at least a great lunch with clients. Don't call me. Don't ask me to work. Ask me to lunch, as Tony says here on Tony Time. Portugal's son, pleased to see you with a great big Tony. Bon dia alegria a todos from Francis. Yours is the first CV up on there on GMP VIP in our new Portugal Professional Network. Francis, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that yet. Well worth a look if you're looking for somebody as gifted as he is within the world of visual and digital. School run longer than usual at our temporary home. Back at my desk. Hope you're all good, working and lurking. Well done, mate. Keep up the good work. And there was a question. They are not issuing new Airbnb licenses in the Algarve, Lisbon, and Porto, as far as we're aware. Does Tony know something that we don't? It has changed, isn't it, Tony?
Yes, it has changed. There are new licenses. Cities of Lisbon and Porto, and depending where, check with your local. Definitely the local council, but they are issuing them, especially if you go into the rural areas. That's not an issue. They want people. They have that. They pass that responsibility to the local councils, so it's no longer and it's something local councils. Believe me, that's something they've been fighting against for a long time.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's vital, isn't it? And what a lovely way! What great news that more Airbnbs and guest house experiences are available in the interior. Because, as you said, I think you alluded to this earlier on. There's so much more to enjoy and explore inside the interior of Portugal, outside of the usual suspects. I mean, we haven't even talked about that, Tony. I don't know if we spoke specifically about the NHR situation. I think we probably did. Although the controversy continues. Before you go, your general view then, your closing comments today, it has been quite negative in a way, hasn't it, in terms of confidence in investing and moving to Portugal. But the water is still lovely, even though it's got a bit cooler towards winter. This is still a great place to come, isn't it? And I understand all the emotion around the NHR and people reconsidering their options. But go on, what's your view on this?
Sure, I'll definitely have. But before I get into that, there is a difference between the AL license, okay? Just so people know, when Airbnb is a platform, Vibro is a platform. Let's not mistake things. Let's break it down.
Okay.
The license, what it's called, you're not going to go to city council and ask, hey, I want to get an Airbnb license. No, what you can apply for is alojamento local. And yes, some of them have been not been issuing, especially Lisbon and Porto, but that's for overnight stays. That's what that license is for, the alojamento local. What you could do with the property, and there's nothing illegal about that, is doing it for short-term and mid-term rentals, okay? So if you're renting for a week or a month or et cetera, longer periods, what they don't want is in having overnight stays. That's what that license is for. And that's the distinction to be made. Okay, so let's get that straight, because there are sometimes alojamento local, Airbnb. No, it is possible as long as it's not done overnight stays. That's what people don't want. People coming in and out, staying at night, or ruining the apartment or the hallways and the garages and stuff. Now let's. You've heard me say this before. Portugal will remain golden. Visa or no visa, it's still golden. NHR. NHR, listen, people are coming here to move. Yes, taxes is definitely a benefit. And I think Portugal's not going to shoot themselves in the foot. Some changes will need to be made. Do you remember when in 2009, when the NHR program started, it was 0% tax, okay, for 10 years. Now, since 2019, which for 10 years, since 2019 up until now, it's a 10% tax break, right? So maybe there's going to be some taxes to be looked at. The NHR will not go away, some part of it, only because Portugal is trying to bring back the diaspora, okay, the Portuguese. So it's not just for foreigners. It's not just for foreigners, Carl. People have the idea of foreigners. No, Portugal, in order to remain competitive, will have to have the right people, okay, the medical doctors, the teachers, the nurses, that are essential to the growth of the economy and Portugal. So Portugal will not do that. What I think they're going to make some changes, they will be for foreigners or anybody that wants to live here, because it's still going to be attractive. But guess what, guys? Isn't it if you still have the lower cost of living, okay, if you have the safety, if you have the services, the healthcare, how expensive it is in the US or even in the United Kingdom or other countries for people to have, even if they have private healthcare. I'm not even talking about the free service. I'm talking about private healthcare where people can still be affordable. Okay, and that's what it is. Portugal will still be affordable. Tax or no tax, NHR, no visa, it's still golden. It's still going to be, it's not going to stop because Portugal is one of those places that people are discovering. So for the next few years, we're a country of about 10.5 million people. I think probably another 2 or 3 million foreigners should be coming to Portugal in the next 10 years. So look at it like another 1 million a year. There's plenty of room. Go to the interior parts of Portugal. People that are in Trás-os-Montes, in the Minho. You know what? Maybe the Algarve is saturated. Maybe Lisbon, Porto, but there's so many. If you ever go to Guarda, Viseu, beautiful places to live.
Well said.
If you go to Amarante, beautiful places to renovate, to live comfortably. Their hospitals, their schools, their safety. People would say there's even a better quality of life living in the interior parts of Portugal.
I would agree with them, Tony. I would agree with them, and there is all of that capacity, and it's a wonderful possibility, potential, isn't it? That arguably some of these parts of the country are a little neglected. This is a global phenomenon, isn't it? People moving away from the interior, moving away from rural areas into the marginal and the cities, the big cities. We've got 60%, I think, of our population living along the coast and in the principal towns, and all that capacity and all of that beautiful, older-fashioned way of life, which
authentic.
That's right, and it's got we've got fiber, we've got internet connections over there. People are working from home more. We are poised. Not many people talk about this. We're poised on an interior regeneration if it's done right, if it has the right sort of subsidy and the right sort of attention. And clearly, you're giving it the right sort of attention by holding up this promise and this potential of all of that capacity that's still there. So, yes, as Jim says, come on in. The water is fine. We're not talking literally, Antonio. We're not talking about having a dip in the bay here at San Martino de Porto. I nearly did that at the weekend. But the water, metaphorically, is fine, is it not, Tony, here in Portugal?
The water is great. You don't need. I can go to my tap water. I've never gotten sick of 22 years.
The running water, yeah. And we have running water and safe tap water. Tony,
yeah. I probably got more sick on drinking wine or Judy than probably water.
I'm sure that's true.
Maybe not the fire water, but in case if it's a little too cold, you always got the fire water to warm you up.
Absolutely. All right. Have a great day. Thank you for being here. Always great fun talking to you. Great fun and informative talking to you. Lovely big round of applause. Take care. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao. Tony time for this month. Cheers, Tony. Bye, mate. Bye for now. There he goes. Back to the Minho, the man in the Minho. Bit of Tony time. First Tuesday of the month. Always great to see him. And we've got Bruce Hawker. My bad on that. Bruce Hawker of the Portugal Resident will be in the new fixture. His regular slot of the first Tuesday alongside Tony here. So Tony at 9, Bruce Hawker joining us at around 9:30. Tuesdays going forward. And guess what? For Monte Gordo, who we've been talking to just recently as well. Questions have been coming up. Monte Gordo, of course, the legendary TV show host from Kansas, also a corn tapper. Apparently, he was telling us a bit about that when he joined us on the show. I think was that last. Yeah, it was a week ago, wasn't it? It wasn't yesterday. It was the week before. A week ago, last Monday. And he's got questions like, do you have running water over there? Cash machines, traffic lights. Why do they allow socialism? Those sort of questions that some people ask who are coming over from the United States. And yet we have indoor toilets too. It's amazing. It's amazing over here. Great to see you here, Jim White, this morning. Excellent stuff. And does bacalhau have bones in it? That was another one of his questions as well. Monty, I'm not sure. Do we want him here asking daft questions like that? But we'll see what we can do to help the man, the myth, the legend, the corn tapping billionaire, Monty Gordo, thinking of making his way over to Portugal since he first heard that there was a town named after him. We'll see if that conversation continues. He might be very fickle. He might have found somewhere else to live now, like Panama or Luxembourg or Switzerland or the Caribbean. Is Sue's here as well? Hi, guys. Yes, Sue's is here this morning as well. Great to see you here, Baddy. Okay, let's have a little bit of a palate cleanse with olive oil now. Let's go to Jerry Lawler of Expats Portugal's back garden and a couple of minutes in the garden, picking olives and pressing them and bringing it right back to the table. So picking, pressing and pouring of the olives, a lovely little tale of what's going on in the interior that we were just talking about here. About that 41 litres from your own back garden, borderline farm there. Well done, Jerry and Lucy. Fantastic. 41 litres of extra virgin. Superb stuff. Okay, thank you very much for that. And yeah, if you want to sign up at Expats Portugal, that's the link to do it on the screen right now. Okay, in the remaining quarter hour that we've got here, I'm going to be scanning for positive news and welcoming yours too. We start with a bit of context, though, of course, which, of course, yeah, if you wherever there's good news, there's going to be some bad news, and generally more of it. Wanted to let you know, keep you informed, really, as far as the conflict in Israel Gaza is concerned. Keeping you up to speed on that. Not. I don't think it's the right place to go into deep discussions about it. I'm sure everyone's got their opinion about it. My job here, I think, is to keep you informed of how that affects the country and what's happening on a governmental level. So we see a Portugal Resident headline that says President heckled following comments to Palestinian diplomat. And Marcelo's opinions inflame pro-Palestine demonstrators. President Marcelo's televised comments to the head of Palestine's diplomatic mission in Portugal last Friday reverberated through the weekend. Quite apart from the outrage his remarks seem to have caused, they were the butt of a satirical show, Isto y Gozar con quem trabalha, which pointed out that even at the event at which they were made seems at odds with itself. You can have diplomacy, and the show's host, Ricardo Araujo Pereira, and you said the host, and you can have a bizarre, but combining the two concepts doesn't quite gel. And so not liking the cut of Marcelo's jib on this, as was the case last Friday when Marcelo's opinions went down like a lead balloon with the entourage of Nabil Abu Zaid. From all Marcelo's attempts to explain exactly what he had meant in his comments last Friday, I said what we are all thinking, he says. The protesters were at least having none of it. You were very bad, said one woman, accusing Marcelo of having shamed Portugal, in fact. Some of the coverage that's going on in relation to Portugal. And let's remember as well that the Antonio Manuel de Oliveira Guterres, Antonio Guterres, who is the current, what's his official title? Is he the chair or Secretary General, that's right, of the United Nations, the 9th person to hold that title. And he was, of course, a member of the Portuguese Socialist Party, and he was Prime Minister of Portugal from 1995 to 2002. That's Portugal's relationship to this conflict, giving you that kind of information. And that'll do for now, I think, as we attempt to find good news in the papers, the English-speaking papers, Portugal Resident, Portugal News, owner of Portugal Resident, Bruce will be joining us the first Tuesday of next month in December. And there's an Animal Corner news story, which I shall refer to. But some interesting things have caught my attention over at the Portugal News on their homepage there. Not least of which, record-breaking wind recorded in Portugal. Which one of you was that, I wonder, after an extended feijoada session? Is that a Gumper who's done that? The record-breaking wind recorded. Do you know which part of Portugal that would have been? At 146 kilometers per hour. So we'll return to that. They've also, over at the Portugal News, they've also got an item on driving cars with foreign registration in Portugal. That might be some of you as well. According to Postal newspaper, driving a car with foreign registration is legal in Portugal, provided that certain conditions are met. Find out which ones conditions you need to meet and avoid being fined is their advice. Let me just touch in on a few of those then. These conditions, Economista tells us that they're sharing the responsibility of the information being shared here. Not residing in Portugal, so you need to live here. What? Well, what if you're just driving through? Okay, that doesn't make much sense immediately. Anyway, first condition requires that the conductor of the vehicle is not a resident. Oh, not a resident of Portugal, I beg your pardon. So if you live here, you can't drive your foreign registered car, or at least not for long, right? Relationship with the owner. The driver must be a family member of the owner or holder of the vehicle. Family members, therefore, are allowed to drive a vehicle with foreign registration in Portugal. EU registration. The vehicle must have a permanent registration from a European EU country. Cars with the EU license plates are subject to different regulations than vehicles from countries outside the EU. Limited term. One of the most important conditions, here we go, is that the vehicle cannot remain in Portugal any longer than 180 days or 6 months during a 12-month period, like some people. This means that the vehicle cannot be used in Portuguese territory for more than half a year each calendar year. Thank you. And interpolation of days, the 180-day period does not need to be continuous. It can be interpolated, again, like people, right? And they stay here. However, the rule of 6 months per year must not be exceeded. I think I might need to put that into the chat for you because there may be people who are interested in that information here. So that's going into the chat now about using foreign vehicles here in Portugal. Thank you, Antonio F. Olive trees, you say. In Trás-os-Montes, I think you have an intimate connection, don't you, with Trás-os-Montes? You're usually picked in December or January. I did it once or twice. Yeah, you'd imagine, wouldn't you, that it would be a later season perhaps there in the more northern and colder parts of Portugal. So that's driving cars with foreign plates or foreign registrations here in Portugal. I think we can dispense with that now. I'll tell you more about the record-breaking wind in Portugal soon. And Portugal's remarkable turnaround from debt risk bottom From debt risk bottom 5 to top 5. Dad jokes, of course, to come as well. After being rescued in 2010, the interest rates on public debt in Portugal are heading towards the lowest in the Eurozone by the end of 2024, barring any adverse news. They're adding that caveat, aren't they? After nearly 15 years of sacrifice and sometimes less stimulating policies for the Portuguese economy, they say, who's we in this instance? It's Paulo Lopes. In the Portugal news, we managed to turn the situation around and are heading for the top 5 countries in the Eurozone concerning public debt. Ireland, which was with us in the worst club, quickly moved to the Eurozone's best by reducing its public debt to less than 80% of GDP. Back in 2015, Portugal, as usual, needed more time than others and chose a longer and multi-year path to finance itself with lower long-term interest rates than, for example, Spain. According to some of the latest forecasts from the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, for 24, our Portuguese debt ratio will be lower than that of Belgium and France. What does that mean to you? Tonight, quite possibly, we'll be talking to Phil Ruff on the Portugal Club presentation tonight, Tuesday at around 8:30. Phil's great. He's got all those sexy spreadsheets for managing personal finance, and he's not afraid to go there with that taboo. So this subject might come up later on tonight as well. You mentioned earlier on there, Antonio, about 2023 being, that's it. There's the chat, a message from Antonio. 23 was the worst, I beg your pardon, absolutely not the worst. The first year on record without deaths due to wildfires in Portugal. And I used to, I didn't used to, I do a news pick. Top news stories from my point of view for Portugal Club subscribers. And that was one of them, actually, Antonio. 23 has been the first year ever that no one has died in rural fires in Portugal, ever. Wow. We also, there was more mention of the new GMP VIP Portugal Professional Network. Our donation to the Bombeiros as well. Portuguese airport, among the best in Europe. Can you guess which one? Jerry's Olives, more about that on my news picks, and a small obituary to Chris Price, who we remembered earlier on, and more talk of Jarapiga over there. Those were my news picks, including the news that you mentioned there, Antonio. Thank you for that. I want to talk a bit more good news. If you're a cat here in Portugal, if you identify as a cat, as more and more people seem to be doing these days, I found one of these in Nazaré yesterday. Look at that. That's a great, scale that up a bit, and you've got a brilliant tree house for kids there. That's on the edge of the water, as you can see in Nazaré, in the south part of the city. And it's a cat home. Strangely enough, though, the cats seem to prefer living in old polystyrene seafood containers a bit further down. But that's cats for you, isn't it? You do something nice for a cat, and the look on its face tells you everything you need to know. No, I'll go and live in a dirty old fish box, thanks, on the other side of the quay here. And here's a cartoon, excellent cartoon. Thank you very much. This is cat behavior for you, isn't it? I'll have a whiskey, says the cat in the bar there. Oh, another visual dad joke from James in just a moment. I did open the show with it, but you may not have seen it. I'll have a whiskey, says the cat. The tumbler of whiskey ends up on the counter. And of course, the cat, Phil Jameson, very good observation. Phil Jameson and the oatmeal here. Cat pushes the whiskey off. What sort of whiskey does a cat drink, I wonder? Answers, please, in the chat. Another barman. That's exactly what a cat would do, right? But yeah, there's the, I'll leave that on the screen for you for a moment as I go to the Portugal Resident and Animal Corner. Local communities embrace cat colonies. In fact, I'll share this on the screen with you as I read through it. So these things seem to be gathering traction. We seem to have adopted 3 cats in as many months here in San Martino de Porto, not unlike many other places where there's a bit of a surplus of stray cats. And so I'll tell you what's going on in which local community is this that's embracing cat colonies? APAA President Jenny Clark has been out cat trapping with Zelia Santos, the cat lady of the feline colonies fame. As luck would have it, the residents of an urbanization have taken the cat problem seriously. Jenny has, for many years, along with cat lovers, tried to get people interested and proactive within their own environmental problems. And certainly, yes, stray cats, it's got to be an environmental problem. That's not an unfair description of the situation there, is it? The Association for Protection of Animals, Algarve, that would be APAA, has its SNP campaign. Well done. Spaying and neutering, focused foremost in the feline reproduction problem. It is a relief in some respects that people are trying to get to grips with the problems on their own doorstep. So that's the way then. That's why they're trapping the cats, Zelia and Jenny Clark, to neuter them. 9 residents have formed a group to approach the powers that be with a small park area being introduced away from the residential area, but close enough to be monitored. A cat colony can be provided fairly quickly, but the cost has to be spread around. Fingers crossed, the rains have started. Jenny has jettisoned off with a cat box and a big wave, apparently. Okay, so APAAR fundraising, there's details of that. This was published, I believe, earlier in the month. Yeah, 1st of November in the Portugal Resident. And things like this seem to be popping up all over. So if you're in the Algarve, you might want to help APA there. Thanks to, there's Crapper here, isn't it? They've got APA down there. We've got Crapper up here on the Silver Coast, more inclined towards dogs. But I think they do rehome and deal with the cat situation here as well. Thanks to publicity, our volunteer staff, this is at APA, working membership and hands-on people, we are able to survive, says Jenny. Although we're here to help is a good motto for APA. They are actively encouraging members of the community to start with their own get in there, get it sorted approach. Jenny smiles, is worth it, really. Keep up the good work. So if you haven't got space for a cat, you can still get involved in working with cat colonies and getting the problem sorted out. And I will put a link to that story into the chat now. And we'll go to a couple of dad jokes to finish with this morning. And I think a Doug's dinner, not a dog's dinner, but a Doug's dinner as well, that we didn't get round to earlier on. And let me get that banner on the screen that gives you the number 913-590-303 if you ever want to send anything to me. And if you'd like to support the show, you can do so at goodmorningportugal.com, or you can go directly to learnaboutportugal.com and sign up as a monthly supporter over there. All gratefully received. If you do that, I think we get a little ka-ching sound if you're moved to do that and you want to hear your ka-ching live on the show in the last couple of minutes, go to learnaboutportugal.com. Also VIP.com, another part of that same platform where we are now, of course, supporting our members here with our own Gump tins, like LinkedIn, but for Gumpers, sharing professional details and doing a bit of networking among our own community here. About to jump on a call, says Portugal Sun. Short and sweet. Great to see everyone. Thanks for the network. I appreciate it. Not at all. He's the first CV to be up there. Antonio F says, in some places, people install cat colonies for stray cats, namely adapting abandoned laundry machines. There you go. That's a good bit of repurposing. Make sure the plug's cut off. Don't want any. That's going to be a peed off pussy who gets spun in a. Well, they are abandoned laundry machines, but yeah, let's make sure we cut off the cable and the plug just to make sure nothing untoward happens there. We have this is the Empty Plate Award. If you want to send in pictures like that, I've got no objection to this. Clearly, that was enjoyed there by Doug last night, who had been complaining about a Chinese meal that he'd had in Portugal. I'm saying when in Rome, basically, Doug. As much as I like Chinese food, I'd be sticking to the Portuguese if I was on holiday here. That's how it started. There you go, a bitok with a nice creamy sauce and the chips and rice combo. Sometimes it's hard to believe, isn't it, that you've got the double carbs going on here in Portugal, but you do. The only thing missing from that plate, you salad dodger, Dougie, is something a little bit red and green. You're not eating much of the rainbow there, my friend. But there you go. I thoroughly enjoyed, as you can see from the subsequent photograph. Thank you for your 2-minute tasters, Dougie. Much appreciated. And let's do those a trio of dad jokes then to finish off with this morning. And I've got a beautiful photograph of Nazaré to share with you that I took from over there yesterday. Really great exhibition going on in Nazaré at the moment, actually, with beautiful photographs from the fisher folk who we toasted last night. People who pick grapes, pick olives, work and do the hard work to make sure we've got decent wine, olives and fish on our platters and vegetables and so on. We raised a glass to them last night. The hardest working people in the country, arguably. Raise a glass to them if you can, whenever you can, and support the local industries to keep those people in work with producing the things that we love here in Portugal. Okay, the last of it today then, dad jokes. Someday I want to defend a penguin in court just so I can say, Your Honor, my client is clearly not a flight risk. Very good. Stop seizing the day, says T-Duck. Put it back where you found it. You've no idea where it's been. That's so true, isn't it? And where I nearly revealed record-breaking wind recorded in Portugal at 146 kilometers per hour, no less. The first time my kid, I'm going to say, let Polly out the cage, as we do here on in this mixed, polite company of the Good Morning Portugal show. But the first time my kid let Polly out the cage and blamed it on me, or let out a Bronx cheer, we also say here, don't we? I knew that I had nailed this parenting thing. Which reminds me, when Andy was setting up the shot, two lovely Gumper kids who stood in for me, Bobby, and just to frame the shot up. And Andy was holding his finger up and saying, "What? Follow my finger," because I think he wanted to see, whether the lights were reflecting in their eyes and that sort of thing. He's a good director, producer, cameraman, is Andy. And I said, "Yeah, follow his finger, but whatever you do, do not pull it, kids." Thanks for being here this morning. There'll be I'll show it to you now, just in case you're not staying till the end of the credits. But there's my Nazare picture. Isn't that beautiful? Leaving that on the screen for you now until we roll those credits, and we'll see you tomorrow for a bit of Ask Anything About Portugal on a Wednesday. Take care, have a great day, and bye for now. Ciao, até logo, até próxima, até já.
Bom dia, Portugal! In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.